Here we go, folks, with this week's review of Lucha Underground. They put a hell of a show this week. I know I say that every week, but damn, this week was good. Let's get into it. We start off with Pentagon Jr. is back this week. We've been seeing him about a 2-week cycle at this point. And this week he faces off with Argenis. Argenis this week, actually, for the first time, I think, ever, actually puts us on offense against Pentagon. They go back and forth. Argenis hits the high-flying offense, and he really sort of takes it to Pentagon. But Pentagon gets the upper hand, and basically at that point lays into him pretty hard. Hits the crazy chops, and then wraps him up with an absolutely vicious package pile driver. That move was just brutal to watch. I don't know if it's a camera angle or what, but man, he looked like he was toast afterwards. After that, he locks Argenis in that armbar submission move he's been using. Ref calls for the bell because Argenis is already out at that point. In which he, once again, boom, arm goes. Takes out the arm, and the crowd goes wild. My favorite part of this entire match is you've got Matt Striker and Vampiro debating the social ramifications of the fans getting behind Pentagon Jr. at this point, which is great. Post-match, you have Pentagon once again calling out to his master, saying, hey, look at what I've done for you. Pretty cool stuff there. I really can't wait to see who is the master for Pentagon at this point. I think it's a great story going right now, and I'm just psyched. Like, all this build up, you know, it could be someone we've never heard of. It could be a name that we know. Either way, I'm pretty hooked. My money used to be on El Patron for the cross arm breaker, but I don't know anymore unless we get a heel turn there down the line. I don't know. We'll see. After that, we have Fenix backstage, basically getting ready, lacing up his boots for a match that he doesn't have tonight. Katrina shows up. Katrina basically says that he's the man of 1,000 lives, but Mil Muertes is the man of 1,000 deaths, and he will take every one of them from you. The only way you can stop him is to bury him. And then she sort of like wisps away. Kind of cool thing there. Like, I like the sort of little supernatural edge to her. We'll get to more of that in a minute. After that, we get another awesome vignette about Konnan. Basically, you have Konnan talking about vengeance, and you see that he's just forging this cane. And he's out there with, like, the metal grinders, I don't know the name for all the right tools for what he's doing, but you see him create this awesome metal cane, and then basically, like, destroying cinder blocks, taking out punching bags. Like, revenge is coming, and Konnan's got the weapon to do it, which is awesome. I was thinking this whole thing we were going to see Konnan get back in the ring, but I think we see Konnan with... He's got the Excalibur of canes at this point. I think he's going to start just cracking skulls at this point, which would be really cool. After that, we have Ivelisse versus Angelico, which was another really awesome match. Strange point, though, here is Vampiro and Konnan didn't seem to know who the special guest referee was going to be. I'm guessing the idea is us fans seeing the backstage vignettes with Dario Cueto know more than they do. It's a little bit of a strange thing, but there is no, like, Titantron in the temple, so it sort of makes sense that they wouldn't know what was going on. But it was last week, so maybe they saw the show last week? I don't know. That was a little bit of a strange thing. The match itself, though, really cool. Lots of Ivelisse basically going full bore at Angelico, who sort of refuses to fight her for most of it. He'll fight her, but he would, like, pick her up and then just sort of, like, drop her. It wasn't like, I'm gonna pick you up and slam you down. He wouldn't throw any strikes. Ivelisse gets him in the corner and chops him a few times, basically begging Angelico to hit her, and he won't take that swing. He goes for the running knee, which she dodges. Halfway through, Havoc gets involved a couple of times, like stepping in between the two of them. At one point, Angelico goes for his finisher, and he pulls her off his back. Other cool things, they had a couple of, like, pinning combinations where, oh, look, it's... Ivelisse is basically sitting on his chest with his shoulders down, and he kicks out. And then he sort of looks over at sort of Havoc and pulls her back down on top of him, which once again, she gets up out of it. But I loved little mind games, like he goes for this stalled vertical suplex, and she reverses it into this sort of chokehold. And you see Angelico like trying to get out, and he basically gives up and starts like caressing her back and her sides, and eventually she's like, ah, and sort of escapes from it. I like playing with the sort of gender roles in this. It was really cool to see. In the end, Angelico, he throws a kick at Havoc, because Havoc's been interfering the entire match, or the entire last half of the match. And Havoc ducks it and basically clocks Ivelisse in the back of the head. She goes down like a sack of potatoes. And Angelico goes for the very provocative pin on top of her, and Havoc makes the quick 3 count and then pulls him off. I liked it. It's a fun match. And afterwards, once again, Ivelisse is upset with Son of Havoc. Reason there, yeah. She's unhappy that he sort of got involved, did it wrong. She thought it was in the bag. It didn't happen. I think we're getting that match down the line. I think we're getting it soon. But we'll see. After that, we have Mil Muertes backstage. He's basically once again in the locker room. Looks like he's getting ready, putting his mask on. Katrina shows up behind him, sort of like the wisp of smoke thing again. Starts talking about how she's gonna leave him, like she found him when death found him, basically alone in the dark. That Fenix is gonna bury him, and basically lets Mil know that hey, next week it's gonna be a casket match. I think that's a great sort of, it was 2 segments, but it built really well to that. I like the idea of a casket match between the two of them. Once we have Fenix's life, Mil Muertes' death, and Katrina actually, it's being played more like Katrina might be death, and Mil Muertes is just sort of her tool. So we'll see what happens there. I like the fact that it might not be Mil who has the supernatural edge, but Katrina is that force of nature. After that, we had our main event. We get Johnny Mundo versus King Cuerno in a cage match. Super cool match. Well, first of all, let's see the cage. The cage was about 3 or 4 panels of chain link per side of the cage, per side of the ring, and they were basically chained together in the corners. So you watch the guys come out there and pull on it. It has a little bit of give, but they're like, at one point, they're arm dragging each other into it, and that thing's not going anywhere. Those are really cool to see. The announcers, Vampiro and Striker, bring up a few times, like, hey, you can't use the ropes as much. It was basically true because there's maybe 4 or 5 inches between the ring ropes and the cage. So we got lots of sort of ground and pound offense and, like, a few things from the top rope from these guys, but it was mostly like, what can you do in the ring? So it wasn't quite the style we're used to seeing for Cuerno and Mundo. It was still really, really intense back and forth match. There's a couple times that they went up to the top and tried to get out. Cuerno at one point is up and over the edge, and Mundo grabs him actually by the mask. At that point, Cuerno pulls himself back in. They start talking about what the mask means and the tradition of the mask in Lucha Libre, which is really cool. At the end, you get Mundo and Cuerno up on the top rope, and they're basically just duking it out. And Mundo basically grabs and like flips him off the top rope or back into the ring. And then he climbs up to the top of the cage. And he starts to climb over. And he looks back and changes his mind and hits this sort of twisting moonsault senton. It wasn't quite the Phoenix Splash that Rollins hit at the Royal Rumble on Lesnar, but it was pretty close. A crazy attack. And at that point, Mundo does get the pinfall on the 1, 2, 3. Super cool match. Like, I'm gonna say, like, I wasn't expecting the steel cage match to work as well for these two guys, but it turned out to be awesome. So next week we have Fenix, and we've got Mil Muertes in a casket match. And they showed sort of the preview for this with everyone done up in the skull makeup. It looks like sort of like the Dia de los Muertos painting on the casket. It looks super theatrical. It looks super amazing, and I can't wait to see how that goes down. That's it for this week. That's my review of Lucha Underground. Tune in each Wednesday. I'll be back with my little update of what's going on and what I thought of the show. Hopefully you liked it. If you did, please click on the icon right here The big logo that you see, if you click on that, it'll bring you directly to my subscribe link. And I will see you guys all next week. Thank you for tuning in.